legal approach or legal constitutional approach. Legal approach or legal constitutional approach. What does this mean? The term itself says it is something which is related to legal institutions. Legal institutional approach itself is saying that you have to study the institutions or constitutions of different countries, and then you can apply that in political science. The term itself is saying, so the thought school is legal institutional approach or legal constitutional approach. This is the school. As per this school, what it says, you study political science from the domain of legal institutions, from the domain of constitutions. Then it becomes the so-called legal constitutional approach or legal institutional approach. Now, why this school emerged? In my first day, when I was discussing about political science, I said that politics over a period of time has been made as a component of state. Politics starts with the state and ends with the state. If you understand what the state is, you understand what the politics is. Right? Hence, whenever this theory that politics is nothing but the state has been evolved, politics is nothing but the state has been evolved, they started studying politics of the state from the lens of institutions, from the lens of constitutions of the state. From that day onwards, legal constitutional approach became very important. So, whenever political science was understood as the study of state, then people started gaining traction on legal institutional approach or legal constitutional approach. Now, what they do is primarily this branch is related with comparative politics. What they compare? They compare in two countries, country A and B. They are comparing what is the state in country A, what is the state in country B, what is the government in country A, what is the government in country B, what is the politics in country A, what is the politics in country B. So they compare everything. What is the constitution here, what is the constitution here, and then they derive the best principles here, and then they are going to say, okay, if these principles are present, then the state is going to be a well organized state. For example, India. Indian constitution has been derived from many other constitutions. And our constitution today we consider that as one of the best constitutions because we have derived that constitution by taking the good in every other constitution. Hence, we have applied legal constitutional approach to frame our own policy, right? And now, why we approached this legal constitutional approach? Because we considered politics is nothing but the studying of state. That is the reason. Now, who are the proponents of this? The proponents of this school are A.V. Dicey, who has given the concept of rule of law, K.C. Ware, Ivor Jennings, C.F. Strong. These are the four persons: A.V. Dicey, K.C. Ware, Ivor Jennings, C.F. Strong. Right? They have propounded this legal constitutional approach. If you do remember these persons, A.V. Dicey, K.C. Ware, Ivor Jennings, these are the persons who comes in our Indian polity. Lakshmikant, whenever you read this, you come across these persons, right? What does this mean? These thinkers, they compare two states, they compare their politics, they compare their government, they compare their constitution and give which is the best one. Hence, they have propounded this, right? So they are also focusing on the institutions of government such as parliament, judiciary, how they have originated, what are the challenges in this. So this is how they give importance. Now this comparative politics or this constitutional approach has much relevance up to Second World War. Until Second World War, legal constitutional approach used to dominate the entire legal constitutional approach used to dominate the entire uh, political science. Till Second World War, it used to dominate because until Second World War, if you look at the global structure, more or less all the countries are Western countries and all the non-Western countries are colonies. Africa, Asian countries, Latin American countries, everyone were the colonies of West. As a result, whatever is in the West, they have brought it into the southern countries or the south countries or the eastern countries. So, even in the colonies, they started reflecting the same type of structure which is present in the West. For example, Britain ruled India. For India, constitutional approach is very new before the Britain has come. But it is the British who has brought the constitutional approach to India, and we started following the same approach after the British have entered into India. As a result, until Second World War, this approach has been a very in the incline or in the increase. It has been very dominant until Second World War. However, what happened is after Second World War, this has been in the decline because of two reasons. This has been in the decline because of two reasons. One is many colonies became independent from themselves, from the Britishers. From the West, they have become independent. As a result, they are asking that your legal, your constitutional approach may be fit to your society, but they are not fit to our societies. As a result, they say that we are a multicultural society like India, where you find different religion, different languages. But in the West, you have unicultural societies. In a multicultural society, legal constitutional approach may not apply, and your theories may not apply to us. As a result, the debate of multiculturalism started. The debate of multiculturalism, or the great debate of Asian and African values. Asian value debate or African value debate started. What is the context of these people is Asia and Africa has rich heritage, rich culture, which is unlike the West. As a result, these legal institutions or legal institutions doesn't apply to the so-called these colonies. Hence, this school was in decline because of this. However, the school has its relevance in order to study or in order to understand how the institutions work in the better way. Hence, so even if it is, what is the relevance of this school? If you want to understand any institution, what are the best way to make the institution to work? You have to still depend on constitutional approach or legal institutional approach. This is what the context is. What does that mean? Say for example, if Indian parliament is not working properly, though India is a multicultural country, but if Indian parliament is not working properly, how can you know, or how, from where did you get the thing called what is the best form of parliament? You get that from the so-called by looking at the Britain, by looking at some developed countries, how their parliament is functioning. You can take those values and you can incorporate them in the present context. Hence, even today it is relevant. It doesn't mean that it has lost its relevance, because institutions comparison, in order to revive the institutions which have been not performing very well, legal constitutional approach is going to help you. This is what the legal constitutional approach is. And the next one is empirical approach, which is also known as the so-called behavioral approach. This I'll discuss tomorrow. So far I have discussed three things. One is philosophical approach, historical approach, and the last one is constitutional approach. In legal constitutional approach, they are comparing the legal institutions in a particular country with other country. లీగల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ అంటే సంస్థలు, రైట్? సంస్థల్ని మనం కంపేర్ చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్తాం. విల్ బి కంపేరింగ్ ద ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ హియర్ అండ్ దేర్ ఆర్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్, రైట్? The first person to compare these constitutions in the entire world is Aristotle. Aristotle, way back in 300 BC, he has compared almost 500 constitutions which existed by that period of time. Hence, he is known as father of political science, and he has given a systematic analysis of how the constitutions differ from one country to other, and how is the best way, or what is the best way to come out and to say which form of government is best. Hence, Aristotle has given which is the best form of government through his legal constitutional approach. Now, from when did this gain traction? It gained traction when politics was studied in the perspective of state. They said that politics begins with the state and ends with the state. As a result, whenever you are studying about the state, you have to understand the state institutions, hence legal institutions became dominant. The major proponents of this are the thinkers like K.V. Dicey, K.C. Ware, Haywood Jennings, C.F. Strong. Up to Second World War, this has been in dominance because until Second World War, whatever the West says, the East used to follow. However, the subject started declining only after when these colonies have got independence and they had their own constitution. Right. After forming their own constitutions, they are asking that we have our own multicultural values. As a result, we cannot follow and imbibe the same things which the legal constitutional approach is saying in the West. However, it has its relevance because in order to make any institution to the best, legal constitutional approach is still having its relevance. Right? This is how you have to write the answer for this. So again, the framework for writing the answer is same. What is it? Who are the proponents of it? What are the salient features of it? What are the criticisms of it? What are the relevance of it? Right? This is the thing. The last approach is empirical approach in traditional approach. I'll start tomorrow about empirical approach and I will give behavioral approach and post-behavioral approach. With this topic is going to get completed. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll wind up the session here. Tomorrow, I'm going to meet at 5 o'clock in the morning. That is for sure. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll be here for a minute. Is it clear? Did you understand? Understood. Clear. Right then. Thank you for joining. Have a good day.